Everyone, thank you for stopping by. I think in the programme it says this is going to go on for 90 minutes, but I'm not sure it is. Although I did say to Bryony and Jack, it's never going to go on for 90 minutes, and they said, oh, I don't know, once they get chatting. So we'll see. We're going to have a chat, we're going to have some music, and come and go as you feel. Is everybody enjoying the festival so far? Really good, isn't it? Great venue. Yeah, really enjoying it. You may know Dave Eyre, who usually does the interview, the Shepley interview. It's been going on since the beginning, and Dave used to do, or he has done the interviews in the church in Shepley, and he's had such guests as Phil Beer, Martin Simpson, Flossie, Bob Fox, Coop Boys and Simpson. And they've been really good chats, and his style is not so much interrogating them, just having a chat, and that's what I intend to do today. The main focus is Shepley. I want to talk about, well, I'll tell you what happened. Nikki got in touch with me about 6 weeks ago and said, would you like to do the interview this year on stage in front of people? I thought, well, I've not done that before, but yes. And she says, look down the list of guests we've got and pick one, and we'll try and arrange it. And I said, well, I can only think of one person I'd really like to talk to, and that's you. But we all know Nikki, and we all know that you're only ever in her presence for 2 minutes before she's running off somewhere else. She's very busy throughout the weekend, so I quite understand why she says, well, not really. But I thought, who else knows all about Shepley? Who's been there since the beginning? And these two have. So, can you give a big hand to my guests, Bryony Griffith and Jack Rutter. 2007, that's when it started. A little family-run festival, as you all know. And I think, Bryony, your initial job was to get the singers together. Shepley singers have been... They've sang at every single one, and you formed them for that festival, did you?
Yeah, well, I kind of wanted to help, but I didn't want too much commitment.
Yes.
And we thought, what can I actually do? I'm not very good at putting tents up or serving beer or anything like that, or stewarding. So I said, well, why don't I just make a choir? Simple. And really it was part of, we wanted a bit of community outreach so that we weren't just going into Shepley, having a festival and then going away. We wanted something that would be part of the actual village. So I think the first practice we had 3 people. The next practice only one of them came back, which was Margaret Iredale, who's still in it and been in it since the beginning, and been really supportive. And then gradually we built it up, and we did the opening concert at the very first festival. We sang Hallantoe. I think there were about 16 of us. Right. I think we only had one man at that point, and it's gradually just got. Well, I didn't know what would happen, and everyone that was involved said, "Oh, you're going to carry on, aren't you?" So actually, we've been running 12 years now, and I think if everyone came that's ever been involved, there'd be about 80 people.
Really?
But currently, we've got about 50 singers, so it's brilliant. And most people that come. A lot of people had never sung before, or they hadn't sung since school, but it wasn't really about singing like a big posh choir. It was just about coming together and making some noise and having fun, and sounding good at the same time. So.
Well, you said it was a simple thing to get together, but I don't know about you, but I think conducting, 50 people and making it sound like they did last night is a commendable job, really. So well done for doing that.
I work them hard. I can see there's quite a few in there as well. There's Doreen as well. Doreen's been there pretty much since the word go. So
very good.
Yeah.
Jack, you've been here since the beginning. Well, the thing is with Jack is, I can imagine this young chap. I don't know how old you were then, but
I was 14.
14, and then he reads in the paper or whatever, they're going to put a festival on right on my doorstep. You had to be involved, didn't you?
Yes, so I was doing like singer-songwritery stuff at the time, playing slide guitar, and I saw that there was going to be a Shepley festival and thought that would be really fun. I should try and go, so I went on the website and emailed Nikki, And she said, yeah, we can put you on this thing. I went, oh, lovely. So then I turned up, and then, shall I elaborate more? I can elaborate. Yeah. I shall elaborate.
Shall I elaborate?
No. I'm doing the making myself not look too silly version. Like, well, why don't you just come to Whitby with us? Because we all go to Whitby, every year, and my mum and dad probably wouldn't mind if you came in the car. And so then it went on to Whitby that year and thought it was quite fun, this folk thing, and then along with all the rest of the boisterousness, made a lot of friends, and then carried on after that. And then I think actually, maybe even about 2 months after the first festival, then I came to some Shepley Singers things with Lydia as well, for about 6 months, and had a nice time. We sang bass, it was great fun.
Okay, so Bedlam was Ross and Drew and Will. So Will's mum is Nikki, who directs the festival. Will's stepdad was Matt, who passed away. His 2 sons are Ross and Drew. I was about 15 and playing classical music. My mother, who is here somewhere, I think she had high hopes for me being in the BBC Philharmonic or something like that, but I'd already started listening to kind of Levellers and All About Eve Mission and that kind of thing, and I knew Ross and Drew and Will from a music centre actually. In fact, Drew used to play clarinet, didn't he? Just as Sue Drew's mum as well. So I knew Will as well from music centre because he used to sit at the back of the 3rd violin, just kind of going like that, while I was playing properly, leading the string group. But I think we went to Buckhampton Boys at Greenock College that my older brother, who was friends with Ross, in fact organised. Clearly we didn't drink anything because we weren't old enough and didn't have a very drunken conversation about that I could join their band. But yeah, they invited me to join Bedlam. I'd already been playing for about a year and that was it really. And so if you do want to see Frank Kidson's manuscripts, they're kept in Glasgow where they realised they were a bit more important. Anyway, so it's a little song about, well, a chap rambling through the woods, don't know why really, on his way to work maybe, finds a house, gorgeous lady inside, job's a good one. Although actually she says no first, but not for very long. If you want to join in, I'm going to start with the chorus. It's 40 miles I've travelled this way, I spied a small cottage all on my way that I never had seen before, that I never had seen before. I stepped up to this cottage door, a pretty fair maiden tripped over the floor, and she cried out loud, "Who's there? Who's there?" And she cried out loud, "Who's there?" It's 40 miles I've travelled this way, I spied a small cottage all on my way that I never had seen before, that I never had seen before. It hails, it snows, it rains, it blows, and I've got wet through all my clothes, and I pray you let me in, and I pray you let me in. It's 40 miles I've travelled this day, I spied a small cottage all on my way that I never had seen before, that I never had seen before. Oh no, kind sir, that never can be, for there's no one else in the house but me, and I dare not let you in, and I dare not let you in. It's 40 miles I've travelled this day, I spied a small cottage all on my way that I never had seen before, that I never had seen before. He turned her out a way to go, and she did her sudden compassion bestow, and she called him back again, and she called him back again. It's 40 miles I've travelled this day, I spied a small cottage all on my way that I never had seen before, that I never had seen before. go to the bedroom and quietly lie, and I will be quickly in, and I will be quickly in. It's 40 miles I've travelled this day, I spied a small cottage all on the way that I never had seen before, that I never had seen before. They spent that night in sweet content, the very next morning to church they went, and he made her his lawful bride, his bride, and he made her his lawful bride. It's 40 miles I've travelled this day, I spied a small cottage all on my way that I never had seen before, that I never had seen before, that I never had seen before. Thank you.
Lovely. It's strange, really, because you did your first singing in church, and then you and then you did the Shepley Singers. So there's lots of singing going on in your life. But I think you once told me that Bedlam, they're basically a Cayley band, they wanted to feature some songs, and you suggested, well, I can sing, and they looked in at you puzzled.
Oh, they did, yeah. Yeah, Ross was like, you can't sing. Probably still thinks the same, I don't know, is he? He's playing with Lego over there. No, he's not playing with Lego, he's entertaining the children. Yeah, well, actually, the first song we recorded was a Breton one.
Yeah.
So there's actually, I think the last album we made has got me and Drew singing French on it. But yeah, we are still going, Bedlam, by the way. People often think we've stopped, but no, we just don't practice anymore.
I think people would be surprised at how long it's been going.
How long has it been going? 26 years.
26 years. Wow.
That's how old I am.
Shut up. Oh, do you know what?
Fantastic. Well, just before we go to Jack, we'll just touch on the singing.
Yeah.
You went to university and you formed a quartet there of singers.
Well, I wasn't to do university. I went to the University of Hull to study modern languages, which is why I ended up in Brittany, because I refused to study classical music, even though it probably would have been a good idea. But there weren't any folk degrees like what there are now, like the one in Leeds that I lecture on, that you can go and join in with, if you'd like to. Just a small advert. No, I went up to Newcastle because Will was studying up there, doing marine technology. And I was supposed to do a master's degree at Leeds in translation, because I wanted to be a translator alongside being a folkie. But by the time the Hull students had graduated, they'd given all the places away to the Leeds students. So I thought, well, what will I do? Well, I'll just follow Will up to Newcastle, where Becky Stockwell was living already, and Gillian Tolfrey, now sadly passed away. So we lived in what we called the Minging Flat.
Yeah, the Minging Flat.
It was a little flat. Gillian found it above Mr. Bunn the baker's, and she said, we found this flat, come and move in. And I was like, I'm not sure, it looks a bit minging, but I did. And then a year later was when the folk degree started in Newcastle, and Faye Heald came up to study, and we'd been living actually, do any of you know Julian Sutton, the melodeon player? Fantastic melodeon player, very clean boy. So he moved out of the Minging flat because he'd had enough, and actually we realised he took all of the crockery with him, and Faye came to see if she wanted to move in with us, and I'd made some lovely soup, and we all wore our favourite clothes so that we looked nice, so that she would move in, so that we could afford to pay the rent. And I went to get some bowls out of the cupboard, and there weren't any there, because Julian had taken them.
So what did you do?
I think I served her some soup in like an old margarine tub. And she liked that, so she moved in.
Were there any spoons?
No, I think we might have had to just like... But anyway, so we used to just sing. Well, Gillian would invite anybody back to the flat, like if we were at any pub, she'd say, come back 2 hours. and there'd just be random people in the morning that we didn't know. But we would just sing, and then Faye said, why don't we actually do something proper and try and get some gigs? And so the Witches of Elsick was born, and to our surprise we actually got booked for stuff.
And it's, I mean, sadly, you can't reunite now, but there was often a thought that you might do, because people missed it, didn't they?
Well, it worked when there's 4 of you living in one place. You can just practice whenever, you know, and if we weren't all there, Becky and Faye might just arrange a song and me and Jill would then add to it or whatever. But then I moved to Ulverston with Will, Faye moved back down to Yorkshire, she moved to Sheffield. And it just got too hard. And we'd always said if it became not fun, we would stop doing it, because it was only ever meant to be fun. It wasn't meant to be hard work, really. And it wasn't, because it was dead simply just turned up and sang. All we needed was a recorder, for the notes, that is. And frequently, to be honest, we lost the recorder. And that was all we had to look after.
Excellent. Jack, Mormos Rutter formed 2009.
Yeah.
2011, you won
did
an
the Young
award.
Folk Award. Yes, we won the BBC Radio 2 Young Folk Award, which was very, very exciting. And then we got to do loads of really fun gigs off of the back of that and have lots of fun opportunities.
And when you can, the trio play at this festival. You're
Yes,
back
we're
this
playing
year.
tomorrow night.
Yeah. So how many times you played now? 2, 3?
Unfortunately, I had to miss a couple because of university, which is a bit poo. But I think I've struggled to get an accurate number off the top of my head, and I like it when things are accurate. So several, an amount.
Well, Jack's been busy today as well, because he's been doing
A lecture.
a
is the way that
lecture
I'm
on
framing
guitars and guitar players and guitar styles and techniques. I was fascinated by it. Most of the people you spoke about, Nick Jones, Marty Simpson, Marty Carp, all these guitar players I've been listening to for donkey's years.
Yeah.
But there's stuff that you told us today that I didn't know, I didn't realise, especially the tuning.
That's good to know.
Yeah. Do you feel a little bit of a swot studying those?
Yeah. Like,
Well, yeah,
all those
we made you
styles.
do it, didn't we?
Yeah, when I get into stuff, I get really into it. So like for the past, what am I now, 26? Yeah, 11 years. That's what I've investigated a lot. So yeah.
Well,
I do
those
spot
who
up.
know Jack, you know how good he is. Those who don't, you're going to find out, because I think
do as a noise.
we'll have a song.
noise. We seem to be on a bit of a theme. This is another song collected by Frank Kidson. This one comes from Frank Kidson's Folk Songs of the North Country book, and it was collected around Hull, and it's called Young Susan on Board of a Man of War. And in my head, when like the kind of storyboard is playing in my head, you know, like of all the scenes and that that go with each verse, young Susan looks a lot like Karen Gillan from when she's Amy Pond in Doctor Who, and has all the same kind of mannerisms and is the same character, and her chap William is just like Rory from Doctor Who, so bear that in mind as the story is progressing. Young Susan was a blooming maid, so valiant, true and bold, and when her sailor went to sea, young Susan, we are told, she put on her jolly sailor's clothes and daubed her hands with tar to cross the raging seas for love on board of a man of war. When in the Bay of Biscay, she aloft like lightning flew, respected by the officers and all of the jovial crew. In battle she would boldly run, not fearing wound nor scar, and do her duty by the gun on board of a man of war. She faced the walls of China, where her life was not insured. And little did young William think his Susan was on board, but by a cruel cannonball she did receive a scar, and she got dreadfully wounded on board of a man of war. When on the deck young Susan fell, of all of the whole ship's crew, oh, William was the very first to her assistance flew. She said, my jolly sailor bold, that for you received a scar. Behold your faithful Susan Bolt on board of a man of war. Then William on his Susan gazed with wonder and surprise. He stood some moments motionless while the tears rolled from his eyes. He cried, I wish instead of you I had received that scar. Oh love, why did you venture thus on board of a man of war? At length to England they returned, and they quickly married her. And the bells did ring, and they all did sing, and they banished every care. They often think upon that day when she received a scar. And Susan followed her own true love on board of a man of war.
That's not a banjo, is it?
No.
That is a bouzouki, but some people would call it a cittern, but it's mine and I call it a bouzouki.
Yeah.
Are they actually the same thing? Cittern and a bouzouki?
Right, the way I see it is...
Oh, okay. We don't need to know.
No,
Just yes or no.
you
would
brought
do.
it up now.
Oh,
So,
no. Sorry,
there's lots of debate, but to me, people often say if it's got 10 strings, it's a cittern, but the modern day cittern was only invented in the mid-70s anyway, and there's a lot of debate about, is it how you play it, is it what it is? I feel I play that like a bouzouki, but I've got an extra bottom string on the bottom as well, so it's a 10-string
I've got some extra bottom as well. That's great.
So
Just
it's a 10-string bouzouki. But yeah, but you could call it an octave mandolin as well if you want.
Okay, thanks, Jack. Okay, back to you, Alan.
Yes. Well, we're at this very happy occasion, the festival. We're bang in the middle of it. But we have had a sad couple of years. We lost Mac, who was a big part of the festival. Gillian, of course, your friend. But we also lost Roy Bailey. Sadly missed Roy Bailey. We all knew him. He came every year, It's Roy.
That was spooky.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? But he was the festival patron from the start. And if any good came out of that, that is worrying.
Right.
It's the fact that we needed a new patron, and Jack agreed to be the patron. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. If you're going to have a patron of a festival, it might as well be someone from here.
It's an honour and a delight.
What does that mean to you? What do you need to do? What's your duties?
I was thinking about this bit last night as well. It means that I can always make sure that I keep the dates free. So I don't ever have, and I'll never now take a gig on these dates, which is quite good, isn't it? Because like I say, I missed a few because of university, and then ended up, there was one, you took a nice picture of us one year, the three of us, and I remember then the next, we played on the Friday night, and then I had to drive to Cumbria on the Saturday for a different festival, and then on Sunday there was another festival in Cornwall, so Cumbria to Cornwall. So I think I finally got back to them, I don't think I even got back to the site, so I was just here for one night, which is a bit, I don't really like that. So it means that I can always keep the dates and just be like, well, no, can't accept any other gigs, you see, because I've got dates for me to do.
Sometimes, though, the phone rings and it's an important gig and you can't turn it down. I mean, what was it like when you got the phone call to join Seth Leighton?
Yes. So, in 2014, I was doing a gig.
That was another gig with us.
That was the next day, yeah.
It was, I remember
So
that.
it was a Bedlam gig. I was playing at Derby Folk Festival on the Friday night, playing guitar for Maz O'Connor, and I got a funny message on Facebook Messenger saying, "Hello, just wondered if you'd be up for doing some Deppin gigs, just give me a call, Seth Lakeman." And I was like, I bet that's like Cuthbert or somebody doing it, that's the prank thing, and I really didn't think. And then no, it turns out it wasn't. So then the next day though, we drove down and did a Bedlam gig in Cornwall. Or was it Devon? It was far.
It was down south. I get confused.
It was
down
very
there.
far
Too
down
many
south.
counties.
Yeah, too many. It was very far. But yes, so then I did that gig for about 4 years, which was great fun because saw bits of the world and did some very strange, surreal gigs. To many, many, many people playing rock guitar, jumping up and down, jumping off of stages and stuff. Great fun.
Great fun.
Yes.
Yeah. Bryony, the fun began once again for you when you joined the Demon Barbers, and that and all its many incarnations.
Yeah, well, that was around the same time as the Witches of Elsit, really. Me and Will had known Damien Barber for quite a long time, mostly through being drinking buddies at Whitby. We used to have port nights where we would just drink port, quite a lot of it.
You were frightened of him, weren't you?
Oh, I was frightened. Well, all right, yeah, I know what you're on about. First time I met Damien, we'd actually gone camp. My mum and dad bought one of them, them pop-up camper things. What are they called? Fold-out camper things. Trailer tent. That's the one that I've got baby brain already. Trailer tent. And we went camping in Goathland. Now, we never went camping when we were little, which was a shame because we would have enjoyed it then. So we went camping when we were about 12, 15 and 17, and my mum and dad all in this thing. Oh, it was great fun. But anyway, what they didn't know was that Whitby Folk Week was on. Obviously I knew that, and I'd started hanging around with Bedlam and everyone and just wanted to be a total furky. So I managed to convince my mum to take me to some gigs in Whitby, one of which was in the old, I can never remember what the old club was called, it's been made into posh flats now. But Damien Barber was on, and I'd heard him on the radio in the Young Folk Awards, as they were then, Young Tradition Awards. And I just was interested in him because I didn't know anyone else young who was singing traditional folk songs, really. And so then at the end of his set, my mum pretty much made me go and get his autograph. And by this time he'd been standing at the bar at the back having several Guinnesses, and I kind of went a bit near him and then went, oh no. And so I ended up getting some old men's autographs, and then went back, and that were about that really. But then he asked me if I wanted to be in his band, and I thought he'd said, do you want a drink? And I said yes. And that was the beginning of the Demon Barbers, really. And we've been in it for, all through a misunderstanding about port. But actually, Will and I have just left.
Yeah.
That's
You're very
probably
busy.
the first public announcement of that, by the way. Don't tell anyone. It's a secret.
What are they going to do?
Oh, well, I don't know. It's just got too busy. There's too many things, and it's too much of a commitment. Jonah's at school now, so we can't just disappear off on tour. And obviously we've got another one, little Jeff or Jeffina on the way. And I just kind of thought, you know what, I don't have to gig and take small children with me. I could actually just chill out a bit and not do it. So I went, I'm gonna leave, send, and that was that.
Well, there's a moment in the show. I don't mean all the theatrical shows that
Yeah.
came after it, but the Demon Barbers, when they were a band, and they had the rapper dance. There was a tune you played just before the rapper came on. It was a haunting thing that you played. Can you
Was
remember?
it?
You must have played it over 1,000 times.
What, the Calling On one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, what I'd like to do is, could you play that and then play a song for us?
I don't know how it goes anymore.
Ah!
The
We'll play a song.
rambling I have come, that one. Oh my
If
God.
you can remember it.
Oh, I like this. You get put on the spot.
Put on the spot. Yeah.
Don't know what key it's in. That was the older. See, this is the trouble. We've been doing it for 20 years. We've done that many different ones.
I have put her on the spot. And then
Well,
plays a song.
I'll do that, and then I'll do an unaccompanied one. I'll do it without my fiddle because I've no idea what to do on that. I can hear the George Butterworth film next door, which actually it's on again later, which features the Witches of Elzec singing in it. Right at the point where he's in World War and it's all going terribly wrong is the bit where I sing. Oof, we went to watch it in London and it was terrifying. But anyway. Rambling I have come, good people for to see. 5 young men I have brought, as brave can be. That was it, really. And then some rapper dancers came in. But I'll sing an unaccompanied song. It's a bit miserable, but most of them aren't they, to be frank. It's called The Lady of York. If you're interested in Yorkshire songs, there's a fab website called the Yorkshire Garland, which is a collection of trad songs. There's also some written songs as well. It's yorkshirefolksong.net, I think, which was put together by Steve Gardam and Ray Padgett and various other people. And this is a song on there that was from Jim Eldon, if any of you know Jim, fiddle player from all. And he said that he got it from some gypsy children in the 70s. So it is a bit sad, I do apologise, but it's got a lovely tune if you ignore the words. There was a lady of York, rifle-lighted Lygia, as she fell a-courting all in her father's park, down by the greenwood side. Oh, she has leaned her back up against a thorn, rifle-lighted Lygia, and there she has had 2 pretty babies born, down by the greenwood side. Oh, but she had nothing for to lap them in, rifle-lighted Lygia, but she had a penknife sharp and keen, down by the greenwood side. Oh, and she didn't care how much it hurt, rifle-lighted Lygia, there she has stabbed them both through the heart, down by the greenwood side. Oh, she has wiped her penknife all in the sludge, rifle-lighted Lygia, but the more she has wiped, the more blood has flowed, down by the greenwood side. she was walking in her own father's hall. Rifle-lighted Lygia, she has spied two pretty bands playing at the ball down by the greenwood side. Oh, pretty bands, if I knew were mine. Rifle-lighted Lygia, I would lap you up in silk so fine, down by the greenwood side. Oh, dear mother, when we were thine. Rifle-lighted Lygia, you didn't have the time to lap us up so fine, down by the greenwood side. Oh, and now we're away to the heavens so high, crying rifle-lighted Lygia, and you will go to the bad when you die, down by the greenwood side. Oh, down by the greenwood side.
Let's talk a bit about TV. Oh! Well, I know what you're thinking, but I'm going to come to you first. We need your mic down.
There we go.
Well, both of Bryony and Jack have been on TV in unusual places. Did you play Jules?
Jules Holland, yeah, that was cool.
That's a good gig to get.
Yeah, it was, they were doing a May, what do they call it? Not Bonanza, May Day, something Anza, I can't remember anyway. Extravaganza? Something like that, anyway. Hootenanny, not that word
Oh,
at all.
the Hootenanny.
The
yeah,
May
yeah,
Hootenanny, yes.
It's broadcast on New Year's Eve.
Yes,
Filmed in
Hootenanny
June or
normally,
something.
but they did the May Day one as well. I don't know, somebody somewhere at the BBC had got excited about folk music very temporarily in approximately 2001, and we happened to be doing something quite exciting at the time. So it was Dog Rose Morris, which was basically Ross, Drew and Will from Bedlam, our mate Dave, who was around somewhere. I think he's dancing with Snark today, actually. And some other Lawley lads from Ripley Morris. And yeah, we did Dog Rose basically. Well, to start with, it was because we used to do a lot of Morris weekends with the Bedlam Ceilidh Band. And we'd go on Morris tours and not do any dancing, which we thought was a bit weird, seeing as most of the lads were Morris dancers. So we kind of formed Dog Rose so that they could do that during the day instead of just getting too drunk to do the gig in the evening. And partly just because we wanted to do some quite showy, offy, young Morris stuff, which was a bit of a hit with some of the ladies at the time, I think. And I just played the fiddle. So we got invited onto Jules Holland to do a dance. Eliza Carthy was invited to play initially, which I wasn't cross about at all. And then somebody suggested that actually maybe I could come along too, and then I was a little bit happier. So yeah, we did it, we filmed it. It was very exciting. We spoke very drunkenly to some celebrities later on in the evening. I think somebody offended Stephen Fry. And I spoke to, what's Stephen Fry's ex-partner in crime? Hugh Laurie. Yeah, I tried to talk
Dr.
to him.
House.
He didn't like me. No, he was a bit like, who are you talking to, you plebby Morris lady? Maybe he was just in a bad mood and he's lovely, but...
And then, I nearly fell off my chair one night when I was watching TV. And
What was it?
Room 101.
Oh, yeah.
The comedian, I don't know if you remember this, but the comedian Ross Noble wanted to put in Room 101, Morris dancing. And you went on there to defend it.
We did, yeah. It was through the Demon Barbers. It was when we'd first started doing the lock-in, which had Grace Savage, who was doing beatboxing, and we had some hip-hop dancers as well involved. So we were, well, to be fair, you know, we could have gone on and done a really good trad Morris dance, and that would have been better really, but we went on and did kind of hip-hop and Morris and beatboxing and...
Made it contemporary.
Yeah, we were there for about 16 hours, and the clip was about 17 seconds, I think. And also, they promised us we could have our makeup done, which was quite exciting. And then said they didn't have time because Jamelia needed her chest redoing, whatever that meant. So I had to do my own makeup, looked like a right Wally. Anyway, but yeah, well, actually, Ross Noble used to live with Vin and Nikki, who are Newcastle Kingsmen, and actually, he didn't want to put Morris dancing in room 101. What he wanted to put in room 101 was, like when you go on holiday and all of a sudden there's cultural dancing, like at a hotel.
Right.
And that was what he didn't like.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you're just having your tea and these people all of a sudden jump up and he was saying, not, you know, it's the bus driver or someone who's just gone and got changed. But the BBC wouldn't let him do that because that might have been misconstrued as being racist or xenophobic or whatever. But they were quite happy to just chuck our own national culture down the pan. So yeah, we defended it, and actually Frank Skinner is quite a big fan of folk music, and he was like, well, I would never have let him put it in anyway. So it was really nice, he was a really good chap.
Yeah, good. And now we've got an audience in front of us, Jack. Please tell us why you went on Take Me Out.
Because, right, I shall tell you for why. Many years ago, I was living with Jim Boyle, who was a Newcastle Kingsman in Newcastle, Jim Boyle and Dave Gray. And for some reason, it came through, maybe via Demon Barbers, to Jim Boyle. I'm not sorry, don't tar us with that.
Was it?
I think it was.
Was it not Rosie?
No,
Oh.
it came through this. I think it's when Jim Boyle was single, and it came through like we want somebody to do with folk scene on
So
Take
they
Me
asked
Out.
the Demon Barbers, we all said no,
They
that would
said,
be ridiculous.
No, you said like, yeah,
But
Jim,
we know someone that will.
passed it on, yeah, passed it on to Jim. I think because yes, if anybody knows Jim Boyle, he's a Ricky Martin lookalike, and he's quite a handsome chap. So they're going, right, we've got a handsome chap, will you do it? And then he said, no, not really, but I can find you an ugly chap if you want. Jack, would you like to do it? And I was like, how old was I? I was like 20, and I thought, that's just going to be funny, isn't it? There's no way that's not going to be funny. And I think I remember walking up to Cuthbert and Lydia's, and I'd rung them on the way going like, something really funny's happened, do you think I should do it? And Lydia was like, yeah, obviously you can't not do this now, that's just going to be just so silly. So then I had to go for an audition in Manchester, and they said, yeah, cool, you'll be on Take Me Out. So I went on to it to get trained down to the studio in London, did the whole shebang, and then went off to the Isle of Fernando's and made a bit of a... Like, my mum watched it, and she said, I didn't do myself a disservice, as it were. She said I was friendly and came across as polite, a bit of a chap, a bit of a fool.
We were on it as well, though, weren't we?
Yes, because we played tunes in the Royal.
We played tunes in the Royal in Dunwich.
With Will and you.
You know
and
where
Dave
they do
Crosby.
what this person normally does in their normal life.
And then because they'd said, you know, what did they say? Maybe they'd said like, you know, he's at Newcastle University, countryside management, and then it said, and he likes folk music, and it cut to us, and then people were going like, boo, boo, and the lights were turning off because they didn't like folk music very much. But
Well, you could have taken one of your flash guitars.
they didn't want that. They said, can you play banjo? And I said, no, not really. And they said, yeah, but can you play banjo? And I said, no, not really. And they went, we'd quite like it if you played the banjo. So I saw borrowed Cuthbert's banjo, and then they'd rented me quite a posh one, I think, on the... Yeah, because I didn't take Cuthbert's banjo down to London with me. I think I turned up and they were like, there you are, we've rented you a posh banjo. So I did that, and it was quite funny.
Did you all see it?
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
To be honest, it rarely comes up nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas Room 101's always on.
Yeah.
But we didn't get anything from it. We
No.
got don't ever go for the one-off payment. That's rubbish. Go for the continued play. That's
we
just
keep
a
getting
small
a
bit of
little bit all
advice,
the
because
time.
we'd keep getting money from it.
I didn't even get money, I just got...
You got an
flown.
holiday though, didn't you?
Well, you say that, but we flew in, arrived at like 11:30, started filming at 5 the next morning, finished filming at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then flew home at like 6 in the morning, so there was just a day of filming, and then went home, so no time to like
Just don't
do
go on
holiday.
telly, ladies and
Yes,
gentlemen.
rubbish.
Well, folks, we've got a few more minutes. We're going to have another song from Jack.
I can do that, yes, I can do that.
Then we'll have a little chat, and then we'll finish with something that you're both going to play. Is that okay?
That's
Lovely.
absolutely lovely. So I should just do a tiny bit of retuning for this one.
So for anybody who was in the guitar lecture earlier, I'm going to keep calling it a lecture rather than a workshop because it makes me sound snazzy.
Had his own PowerPoint next to it.
Yeah, took a PowerPoint speaker. There was videos. This tuning is now B flat, F, B flat, F, C, F, G, C, and then a little bit so, yes, but except his would he'd have a fourth up there. But then what I'm going to do now is go a bit off piste and put a capo over 4 of the strings, but leave the other 2 open. This is a more modern approach to messing around with stuff. So now the tuning is B flat, F, F, B flat, C, F. So you've got a lot of Fs going on all at once.
A friend of mine's a big Martin Carthy fan, and he taped one of his concerts, and for a laugh he put online just the tuning between the songs, and it was 17 minutes.
I've heard that, it's on YouTube. It's quite good, it's worth investigating. This is in tune. This is a fairly new song to me. This is called The Hills of Longdendale. There was a wonderful poet and singer and song collector and artist from the hills above Saddleworth who was called Allan Wrigley, who was very prolific in the 1920s and 30s, and a lot of his poems and things became songs. I know a couple of his songs, Friesland Ale and The Brown Hair of Whitebrook, via the counties and the countries and basically the planet's greatest singer, Will Noble of Shepley. And so I decided I'd quite like to, and I've been reading a lot of Allan Wrigley over the past couple of years. I've kind of gone through all of his published works, and he very much feels like a proper friend to me, even though he died 70 years ago, which I think is probably the mark of a really, really great writer, isn't it? So I decided to try and put some of his words to music, which is basically the hardest thing I've ever done creatively, because it's a bit like, how do you do justice to something so wonderful? But here's my attempt anyway. This is The Hills of Longdendale. Blossom-scented and the linnet songs were new, and the skylark teeming rapture down from the sunny below. I felt the restless longing, the call of the trail that grows ever sweeter on the hills of Longdendale. That grows ever sweeter on the hills of Longdendale. Then out in the bracing freshness of the blowing moorland air, out where the dawn comes singing now to see herself so fair, where there is no room for sorrow and all life is shouting hail, in plover fields are roaming on the hills of Longdendale. In plover fields are roaming on the hills of Longdendale. Out where my foot grows lighter with every step I take, through scenes that never give my heart weariness or ache. The pools in purple hollow rose and gold of scar and shale, the lights that change and dapple on the hills of Longdendale. The lights that change and dapple on the hills of Longdendale. And whoever made these hilltops so spacious and so free, I know not why or wherefore, but they're God enough for me. I will not seek or question, I'll neither mock nor rail, when I go happy roaming on the hills of Longdendale. When I go happy roaming on the hills of Longdendale. Thank you.
I was just going to mention a couple of things that the festival does, which is great. One is we have one of the heats for the John Birmingham Cup, which is an unaccompanied singing competition, and that's always enjoyable, isn't it?
Yep.
And also, we have lots of children's events. I remember one year, I think it was all Saturday morning, you had a fantastic children's event, and you were rushing around like, there was all sorts of entertainment at the stage. I thought it was brilliant. Tell us a little bit about the children.
Well, so the first year I didn't do that, I don't think, but whoever did do it thought it was a bit tricky getting loads of children onto a festival site. So I took over. I went, yeah, I'll do that as well. How hard can that be? So, in fact, no, I'm wrong. The Demon Barbers did it the next year. We did some workshops. We got some funding to do some workshops down at Sisset First School. And after that, I kept going into Sisset First School to teach violin. So basically, since then, I've been teaching 50 children every Tuesday in Sisset First School. And so the next year, we wanted to get all of the schools involved. Well, any local schools really that wanted to do some folk music. So we had My Little Fiddlers come and play. We had singers from Shepley First School. Various others, some of Tiny's little clog pupils. Tiny, who's Tiny Taylor from the Demon Barbers. Anyone that was doing anything in the area, and we put on like a 2-hour showcase. We've not done it this year because I don't know how the venue works yet, because normally what we've done in the big marquee is we've got like 200 school children sitting watching, and then they gradually come on and off, but I don't know how we might do that here, so hopefully we'll do that again. But we have got my little folk group Trad Mad, so that's a little local group that I've started in Shat, or Skelmanthorpe as it's properly known, and I've got about 8 of them that come. We rehearse once a week just before the Shepley Singers, so I have to hot foot it from Shat up to Shepley. You can do it in about 4 minutes.
Does everybody know Shat? Do you know? Do you want to just briefly, because there's 2 stories about why it's called Shat.
Oh, there's various ones, yeah. So it's actually called Skelmanthorpe. It's about 5 miles away from here somewhere.
I know 2 people from there, you and Doctor Who.
Doctor Who, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Jodie, I was going to say Jodie Foster, that's not right, is it? That's a different person. I've forgotten her surname. Whittaker, that's it, Jodie. Yeah, Jodie Whittaker, who's now Doctor Who. She was in my brother's class at school. I think they may have had a small fling, but they may not have done, so that might not be true.
Bryony's brother is the drummer in the Demon Barbers, and he also, as a sideline, likes to dress his nephew up in dresses. Is that right?
They do seem to do that when Ben is in charge of childcare, yes. I don't know why they go and raid my wardrobe, but anyway, yeah, so Skelmanthorpe is known locally as Shat, so I am a shatter. Not officially though, I will never be a real shatter because I'm not actually from Shat. I think I spotted some other shatters earlier. There were some other shatters in. One reason that I think it's called Shat is because in the War of the Roses, the people of Skelmanthorpe were called on to help the King's army, I think, or it may have been fight against the King's army. Can't remember the history of it, but anyway, because they were really tough, they shattered the King's army, so they were against him. So that's one of them. Also, apparently there was a glass factory, and they were known as shatterers, but I don't think that's true. Also, they put the railway through and the navvies came and had to shatter all the rocks. So the rough lads were known as shatters.
Right.
And that's stuck. So if you're actually properly from Shat originally, you're a proper shatter.
Right.
Yeah. Jerd is a proper shatter. I'm not.
So lots of local history.
Yeah, I'm a flock to the...
Yes. Well, before we finish, just for those who are new to the festival and not been before, or those who have been, just to remind you of some of the people we've had play at the festival, because I think it's a major league festival, this. It's had Eliza Carthy, The Unthanks, Peggy Seeger, Bellowhead, the Demon Barbers, a few times, Michael McGoldrick, Show of Hands, the Red Hot Chili Pipers, Seth Lakeman, the Young'uns, Tim O'Brien, and Chris Drever. Lavender Noor, fantastic band from, you remember that? Yeah, from Quebec. Skerryvore from the Isle of Tiree. John Jones of the Oyster Band came one year with his Reluctant Ramblers, and we went for a morning ramble from Holmfirth to Sheffley, about 5 miles, and I went on that, and we saw all weathers. It was like brilliant sunshine and then torrential rain and then sunshine again, all the way. Treacherous Orchestra, O'Hooley and Tiddo, the wonderful, legendary Nick Jones played at this festival, Gordian McKeenan from Canada, Nancy Kerr and the Sweet Visitor Band, Anzo Lorenzo, Eliza came back with the Wayward Band, and Coop Boynes Simpson did one of their last gigs here. So lots. That's just a few, and we hope it continues. Are you going to continue coming to the festival? Fantastic. Okay. Well, I'd like to thank you both for coming along. It's been wonderful talking to you. I hope you learned something. And I'd like to go out with some music from both of you.
Yeah, we'll do some tunes, I think. So actually, Chadmad are playing tomorrow. In fact, we're all doing that concert together, are we?
Tonight?
No, tomorrow afternoon.
Yes.
I think I'm doing solo, then we've got Tradmad, and then you're on after. Local concert. So that's 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon upstairs, I think. Well, we'll play some tunes. I've not written out the chords on the floor for Jack, though, so it could be a disaster.
I'll make them up as I go.
I'm going to play a tune called Slingby's Allamand, which is from North Yorkshire. Apparently Sir Henry Slingby was a real person who had his head chopped off for supporting the king. Cromwell had his head chopped off. And the second one is called The Spanish Spy, which is just from over hill in Lancashire, but it's all fine.
Just before the play, shall we have a round of applause, please?
On my first solo album.
We
didn't
play these ones, didn't we?
No. We didn't do these ones. Huh? Well, it's more solo than most people. So I'm a full band anyway. Thank you very much. Okay. 2, 3, 4.
Bryony Griffith, Jack Rutter. Thanks also to Tom for the sound. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.